I'm stupid, I'm an idiot, I suck at everything, I'm, impossible to be around, I'm unlovable, I'm too much. Bum, 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 bum. Welcome to another episode of Goode Soil. We are back with another amazing question. I don't know what those bum 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 bums were at the beginning, but they felt right, and so I did them. And yeah. Thank you for submitting your questions. I have been enjoying reading them, and there's some really good ones that I think a lot of us go through. So thank you for submitting the super relatable questions. I know life is really crazy right now, and for some more than others, and we're just all trying to stay afloat. So keep sending me your questions. I love hearing from you. I love reading what you're going through and thinking of ways that I can hopefully help. So today's question is, Dear Goode Soil, how do I stop negative self-talk and believe in myself more? How do I stop negative self-talk and believe in myself more? So I can talk about this question for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. I'm going to try not to, but this is like the fundamental question of Goode Soil right here. How do I stop negative self-talk and believe in myself more? That is where my journey began in 2020 during the pandemic, when I was at rock bottom emotionally, spiritually, physically. I was just tired of people pleasing and striving for perfection, and basically killing myself to just be this person that was unrejectable, was like just this shell of myself. And I just got to a point where I was just talking to myself so badly. I was so harsh to myself and so mean to myself, and trying to be nice to everyone else. But then when it came to me, I was just so vicious, and just didn't believe in myself. So this is a great question. Thank you for being vulnerable enough to ask it. And there are a couple ways that you can do this. One, understand that it takes time. I think that's a big thing that we all need to realize in life and in our journeys as we grow and heal and learn, that it all takes time. None of this is overnight. Sometimes it takes a year, sometimes it takes 2 years, sometimes it takes 5 years. This is a very slow incremental change, because you're changing behaviors and patterns that you've held for the majority of your life, potentially. So be gentle with yourself. I know that's hard at the beginning, especially when you're more used to being hard on yourself, but just take it in, take this information in, that it does take time, that you are at your own pace, and that when you can be kind to yourself and be gentle with yourself, because you're undoing a lot of sort of conditioned and ingrained stuff. You're trying to undo that. So kudos to you for asking this question. Kudos to you for going on this journey and wanting things to change and wanting to be better and to believe in yourself and to start healing. So that's the first step, truly, is to just acknowledge that you don't believe in yourself as much as you could, and that you are talking to yourself. Your mind is sort of this place that is just not fruitful, and there's just negativity, and things just aren't the way they're supposed to be. So that's really half the battle, is just being aware enough to know that that's happening, and also being courageous enough to know, like, okay, I think I'm ready for this to change. So for me, and in my journey, and that's really all I can speak to here, is my experience. But in my experience, it really took me being in rock bottom to change. Like, I needed to be exhausted. I needed to be my most depressed. I needed to be my most over it in order for me to even want to change, and for me to not want to like go back to the way things were, and to not be, I needed to be so uncomfortable with the negative self-talk and the disbelief in myself that change wasn't an option. So for me, I honestly kind of think, just like anything, you have to want to change in order for it to happen. And that's the first step. I think being so rock bottom, tired, exhausted, depressed, anxious, over it, can no longer live this way, that's the first step to kind of stopping the negative self-talk and stopping these patterns of disbelief and unbelief in yourself. So if you are there, you are in honestly the best position, even though it feels like crap and everything feels like, everything's falling apart. That's the best place for you to start trying new things and getting creative and getting resourceful about you. So I would say step one, be tired of it, no longer want that lifestyle, that sort of pattern that you've been involved in. That's step one. Step two would be to really lay it all out. Write it down. Get a journal that you like or open a notebook and really write down what you believe about yourself right now. All of the negative things, all of the negative thoughts, I'm not good enough. I'm stupid. I'm an idiot. I suck at everything. I'm impossible to be around. I'm unlovable. I'm too much. All of those things that have plagued your mind and have become your narrative, write them out, vomit them out, just get them on paper so that you can see what you're saying to yourself. You can see your beliefs on paper and you can just really see, what's going on inside of you. A lot of the times, awareness is a big part of it. It's just getting aware about what it is, what all is inside of you. All the gunk is just getting aware of it, seeing it in front of you, understanding what's going on inside of your head and in your body, and acknowledging it, acknowledging that it exists, acknowledging that this is what's under the hood, and understanding that. So I think writing it down is super important. Just getting everything out, seeing what you're saying inside of you and looking at it is really the step one. And as you're writing that down, I also encourage you to just start journaling if you haven't already, intentionally. There's a great book that so many people have referenced at this point, The Artist's Way, which has this, it's a book and it is really about cracking open the artists and really exploring play again, really exploring this idea of, what is perfection and why are artists always striving for it? It's never too late to be an artist. You may have gone down all these other career paths. Like, how do you get back to that space of play and creativity without the monsters in your head and in your heart coming in and killing it all before it even blossoms? So a part of that book is daily pages. That's an exercise the writer offers the reader to really get the stuff out of you. Start getting these thoughts and these things onto paper. Something about it, one, takes away the power that it holds in your body, and two, allows you to become more aware of it and to really look at it and say, okay, that's pretty harsh. Like that, I don't know if that's actually true. Like you can start kind of looking and seeing and start really dismantling some of these ideas when you can see it in front of you. And there's something about just getting out your thoughts without censoring yourself. The daily pages really ask you to just free write for 3 minutes, I want to say 3 to 5 minutes a day, free writing. So anything that comes to mind, you write it down. You don't censor yourself. You don't stop yourself. Who cares about punctuation, misspelled words? It doesn't matter. You're just getting out your sense of thought, your train of thought. You're just running with it and seeing what comes out. And again, this is information. I am big on information, just getting information about yourself to make informed decisions about yourself and to reflect better on yourself. And when you write these things out in your journal, you can really see what you're thinking. You can see what you're feeling. You can see like, oh, I wasn't expecting to write that down, but that's clearly bothering me because it made it in my morning pages today. And the thing I thought would make it in didn't make it in. And it just gives you it starts piling up and you start getting more and more information about yourself. And not only does it help you in the present, but it also helps you later on down the road when you may be struggling with something or you may be experiencing something you felt before, and you can go back in your journal and say like, oh, on December 3rd, I was dealing with the same thing, but on December 5th, all was well again. And you can take from that, things do change, like the answers do come, truth does reveal itself in these pages. So the daily pages are extremely important, and just writing it down in general, whether you call it daily pages or not, or whether you write for 3 minutes or not, I really encourage you to invest in a journal and in a notebook that you can really pour yourself into without bias and without, journals are really open for us. They're safe spaces for us. And so I want you to have that safe space and start getting comfortable pouring out in that way and talking to yourself and allowing these things that are in you that you stuff down and stifle to start coming out and start revealing themselves and to start talking back to you. And so after you start journaling, what I want you to also do, which really helped me, and I feel like affirmations get a bad rep. I feel like, I don't know, they're so cliche, and I think we hear about them so much that it sort of takes their power away. But affirmations are important and cliche for a reason. It's because they really do work. If you're talking to yourself negatively and you see how that works in your life, how, it changes your mood, it changes the outcomes of, things that you may be working on, it discourages you, it changes the way you kind of move in the world, it changes your behaviors and patterns. If you can see how powerful negative self-talk and negative beliefs and these negative narratives have such an impact on your life, wouldn't it make sense that positive feedback, positive self-talk, positive patterns and behaviors would have a different effect in your life and an opposite effect on your life? So affirmations really do work. They are the antithesis to your negative self-talk. Positive self-talk is the opposite of what you're currently experiencing. So really take into account that there's something to positive affirmations or something to writing down good things about yourself and speaking those things out loud. And one thing I want to note is that you're not going to feel good about them when you first start. You're not going to feel all warm and rosy and in love with yourself when you start your affirmations. They're going to feel hollow. They're going to feel false and cheap and like dumb. They're not going to resonate with you because you're so used to the negative self-talk and so used to believing otherwise. But when you start writing down, I am good, I am smart, I am creative, I am funny, I am, all of the things that you are. And as you start coming up with these things about yourself that you do believe somewhere in you, or else you wouldn't be able to come up with them, even if it's one or two things. I am good with money and I am a good listener. Those two things are really important and they will grow as you continue on your affirmations journey and continue on your healing journey. So even if it's one thing that you can think of, there's no shame in that. Write it down over and over, write it down multiple times a day, start saying it out loud, start saying it in the mirror, start saying it while you're driving to work, start saying it while you're, whisper it to yourself while you're, praying at night, whatever it is. Really affirmations, they are important and they start doing something on a subconscious level and on a level that you may not be able to perceive at first, but they really do make a difference over time and they become easier to say and recite and write down. And they sort of create this sort of foundation, this new foundation, which is I'm trying to do something different. It's painful, but I'm trying to do something different. I'm speaking against what's been spoken over me in my head and in my heart and maybe from other people. I am doing the opposite. And so it's laying this really great foundation of I'm trying and I'm setting a bed of positivity that I may not feel yet in my body. I may not fully believe yet in my, my heart and my mind, but the act of doing it lets me know that I'm trying to believe it and I'm reaching for it. So affirmations are so important. And, you may fall off of them, you may come back, but just really try to at least keep up an affirmations practice for, at least a few weeks, if not a few months. And as you're going down your affirmations journey, what to me and what I learned in my own journey was a really helpful sort of partner in crime to affirmations, was gratitude. Gratitude is so important. Gratitude really is like the door to self-love and to believing in yourself more. It really is. Like people, again, it's another thing that we hear all the time, be grateful, we have Thanksgiving and all that, but gratitude really says like, despite everything, there are things to be grateful for in my life. I can be grateful that I'm alive, even if it doesn't feel good to be alive. And even though I kind of don't want to be alive, I am grateful ultimately to be alive. I'm grateful that I have, food in my refrigerator, even if it's a weenie and a bun. I'm grateful that I can fill my stomach, and I'm grateful for the roof over my head. I'm grateful for the people that I can talk to. I'm grateful for the Goode Soil podcast, for instance, that gives me, positive information and helps me kind of go on my journey. I'm grateful for my friend. I'm grateful for, this cup of coffee. Like, start small. It doesn't have to be these big things that, that these sweeping gratitude, things. It can just, like, I started off saying I'm grateful for my coffee because I loved the feeling of like taking my coffee and sipping it and just like savoring it. Something about that just was like, oh yeah. I just loved that. And I never really said it out loud that I love that. So gratitude is just saying, I love this little moment and I'm so grateful for it. I love walking barefoot in the grass. I'm grateful for this moment. I'm grateful for, this top. I'm grateful for this moment of peace where like it's quiet in the house and the kids are asleep and everything's okay. Gratitude really just allows you to understand on a fundamental level that even though things don't feel or look right in your life at this moment because, negativity and doubt have kind of stripped things of their flavor and of their brilliance and of their joy, I can do this radical act, which is to say thank you to God and to the universe for providing for me, even when I don't even realize it sometimes, for the sun rising, for things being okay on a scale outside of myself and inside of myself. So gratitude is just a beautiful doorway that if you can get gratitude, if you can start getting gratitude in there, I'm telling you, it really changes the game. It changes the game. Things start, getting brighter and things just start happening around you. You start becoming more aware of things around you, the good around you. And when you become more aware of the good around you, you start becoming more aware of the good within you. And you just start appreciating things more. So gratitude and affirmations together, when you can appreciate that you're smart, when you can start appreciating that you are wise and you become grateful that you are a fighter, you're a survivor, you're grateful that you didn't have to go through a lot of things that someone else maybe had to go through, it can really change the game and really start changing the wiring of that negative self-talk. Because even if you're saying, I'm an idiot, and then this beautiful thought comes in, I'm grateful for life, boy, that's like putting sunshine in a dark room. It's just a really powerful tool. So affirmations, gratitude, and meditation's really important too. On my sort of self-esteem, self-confidence journey, meditation played a really big role in my growth. And I think the reason being, I just the act of getting still was just, it showed it. How do I say this? It sort of communicated to myself that I was important enough to do nothing. And I think that's really important. To get still really does say, like, I'm important enough to sit here and to see what's going on inside of my body and to try to hear my thoughts and see my thoughts and, hear the birds or whatever you do. I was doing a listening meditation at the time where I would sit outside and just listen to birds chirping. Something about that was really grounding and just allowed me to stay in the present moment. And it really did. It communicated to myself that I'm worthy of this. I'm worthy to sit here and do this practice and try to get inside of myself and get to a space where it's just me being me. Me just being was enough in this moment, even if it was for a minute or 2 minutes. Something about that really just showed myself like, yeah, you're worthy of this. And also meditation, something that it does that you'll start noticing in your life, as I did, was it helps you to start seeing those thoughts that you have And when you start shooing them away, meditation is really viewing the thoughts and kind of gently coming back to the present moment, gently telling them to go away and to sit. And it's really kind of like wipe on, wipe off with Karate Kid. It's like, okay, I'm telling these things to shoo. I start thinking about all the things I have to do. No, wait, I'm meditating, go away. Or, that negative thought of, oh, the rent's due, I don't have the money. Okay, go away. That's not important in this moment. You start becoming good at just gaining control over what you're thinking. You're never going to stop the thoughts from coming in. You're never going to be able to control what thoughts come in, but you can get better and better at understanding what can take up your time, what mental, what thought takes up space, and what thought you can shoo away. Excuse me, you can't be here. Yes, okay, you're saying that I'm stupid, but I don't have to listen to that. I don't have to entertain that. And in my meditation practice, I've been practicing and teaching myself how to shoo that thought away, how to stay grounded in the present moment, how to be where my feet are. And so that's a really important skill that meditation really does develop in you, and a muscle that it starts growing that you will see bear fruit in your, life when you're walking around and someone says something that triggers your negative thoughts. And instead of spiraling and succumbing to those thoughts and feelings, you can have this new fortitude and this new strength to say, nope, you're not here. I'm not entertaining that. And over time, you get better and better, and you start realizing that you are recovering faster from these negative moments and from these sort of trigger moments. You just recover faster. Again, it's not about eliminating this completely. You're never going to eliminate the thoughts. You're never going to eliminate what comes in. You're never going to not have thoughts. But it's about your reaction time and about your recovery time and about how fast you bounce back. And over time, you'll start seeing like, what, that didn't knock me off my square as much as it usually does, or that somebody said that to me, and usually I'd be down for the count for like 2 weeks depressed, but it only was a week this time, or it was only like 2 days this time, or it was only a few hours this time. And as you start, it's kind of like going to the gym. As you start seeing some results from these practices, from the affirmation and from the gratitude and from the meditation and from the journaling and from the getting it out, that's when you're kind of like, and it's easier to keep going. It's always going to be hard in the beginning to sit down and meditate. It's always going to feel phony to write down the affirmations. 3 minutes is going to feel like 10 minutes when you start journaling and doing your daily pages. Gratitude's going to feel like Thanksgiving every day, when you start doing it. But I promise you, if you start incorporating these things and you start getting more and more consistent about it, and more, you put more and more practice into it, because like I said, everything is a practice. This is, you start incorporating it into your practice, you will start seeing results, and they're going to be so good that it's going to be hard not to keep up with that practice. And you don't have to do it every day. You don't have to be like hardcore about it, but you know what you need. How much, you need to do in a day, how consistent you need to be about this. And if anything in life, consistency is key, and repetition is key. And when we practice, that's what makes up the practice. That's what makes up the results. So again, that's why you really have to be ready for change. And you really have to be at this point in your life where you're like, I can't go on. I can't take another step thinking this about myself. I just can't do it anymore. I have to do something different. I have to change the narrative. I have to start loving myself. I want to love myself. I don't want to be miserable. I don't want to be depressed all the time. I don't want to be in this horrible state of being for the rest of my life. I've already given it so many years of my life and so much time and energy. I'm ready for something different. And when you are in that space, you are going to do the repetition, and you are going to do what it takes to practice this. And you will start seeing results from it, and you can mold it and change it, and new things might work for you. Those weren't the only things I was doing. Environment is really important too. It's very hard to affirm yourself when everything around you, the people in your space, the people that you associate with, are constantly reaffirming the negativity. It's hard to push back against, a tsunami. So environment is super important as well. Can you carve out a space, a safe space, even if it's not you, even if it's not your primary space? Can you carve out a safe space where you can go and you can meditate and you can be by yourself and you can, write down in your journal? Like, no one should be reading your journal. That could be your safe space. Can you do it again, like while you're driving somewhere, whether it's to get a coffee or you're going to work or you're picking up your kids? Like, where are these safe spaces? Where is the environment that is just for you and is a space where you can start implementing these practices and you can do it without external feedback and people being like, why are you meditating? That's stupid. Like, why are you doing that? Okay, I'm not going to meditate in front of you anymore. I'm going to meditate where it's safe. It doesn't have to be these radical environment changes. You may be like, well, I live with these people that are doing that and I can't leave yet because I don't have any money. Okay, well, maybe your closet is where your safe space is. Maybe you have to roll under the bed and hide a little bit and just say, do your gratitude under the bed, looking up at the bed. Or maybe you go on a walk, wherever it is, as long as you can just create. Again, it doesn't have to be all day, but just taking that time per day or every other day to really be about you and be about this process and be about your practice will make all the difference in the long run. And also keeping in the back of your mind that it takes time and that you're not going to see results overnight, but it does add up and it does build up. And then one day, like me, the other day where I was walking with my chin held high and I was like at ease in my body and I was kind of out and about around people where usually that, dysregulates me. And I'm always, being self-conscious and looking around, you'll look up one day and you're kind of like, dang, that used to really freak me out to like go to the grocery store. And now I love going to the grocery store and I know that I can regulate myself and I know that you start seeing the effects and the fruits in your life and you're like, okay, this is working. And another thing with environment that I think people overlook in this journey, and it kind of depends too on, what you believe, but I'm a believer. I believe in God and I am someone who, for a very long time, even though I was a believer and even though I grew up in the church, a lot of my relationship with God was, can you give me this? I want this to happen. Can you make this happen? Or I like that boy. Can you make him like me back? It was a lot of like, help me, Lord, like make this thing happen. And this time around, a big key core factor in my healing journey and in my self-esteem and positive growth journey was understanding that I had to have a relationship with God for this to work. I needed to be in touch with something greater than myself because I tried it my way for so long. I tried to do things my way. I tried to be this person that I thought would make me happy and I thought would bring me the love and validation and acceptance I needed. And in this go around, when I was truly at rock bottom, I was like, God, I can't do this by myself. I'm coming to you from a humble place of, I feel so broken that like I don't even feel like I can stand up. I need you to lift me. I need you to be in this with me. I need you to let me know that you're in this with me. And one thing I really also will advocate for is being a student, being willing to be a student of yourself and of life and asking God, teach me how to love myself. Teach me how to love me like you love me. Teach me how to believe in myself, because I firmly believe that when you believe in yourself, you can believe in God more. And when you believe in God more, you do believe in yourself more. It's this connected piece of like, you kind of, one enriches the other. And so the more I leaned on God, the more he did breathe new life into me and give me the space and the sort of grace to grow into myself and learn how to love myself and learn how to treat myself better and learn how to talk myself better and learn how to be consistent and to show up in my life in a new way and to not try to control things around me so much, but try to just focus on what I could control, which was sitting down and writing my affirmations and sitting down and, saying, speaking my gratitude out loud and being like, God, thank you, God, like saying it with some real fervor, like, thank you, God, for this coffee. Thank you, God, that I get to, go on walks that I love, or I love to swim. And I was like, thank you, God, for like letting me swim. And I promise you, like when you bring him into the fold and you bring this sort of like life community, and I don't just mean people, I just mean when you're sort of opening yourself up to and you're surrendering yourself and you're asking for help, it really does change the game. And it also allows you to just lean on something else other than you and what you believe and all of that. You can start leaning on God and what God says about you and what God believes about you. And he will affirm it. Like, he will send people to confirm you. He'll send, birds are a really big part of my life. And at that time when I was really on this, starting this journey, and I needed the most, I needed signs and I needed affirmation outside of me, God would send me birds, and he would send me, hummingbirds to put a smile on my face and let me know I'm not alone. Like, when you're in this space and you are learning and co-creating with God and with the universe, you really do start taking note of other things around you and the things that have been affirming you and confirming you and that have been beautiful around you all along. So that is a key part. I can't stress that enough, of really just being like, teach me how to be me, God. Teach me how to love me, God, like you love me. Teach me how to do this thing differently. I'm ready to do this thing differently. I just don't know where to begin and I feel weak. Give me your strength, Lord. Teach me how to walk like I can walk worthy, as my friend would say. Teach me how to teach me. This posture of teach me, I need your help, really changes the game. And it creates this posture of like, come in, open my heart, come into my heart and make my heart your home, and that made the difference, and that elevated everything I was doing. And it grounded me in a new way and built this new foundation under my feet, that like, when things weren't going well, I could cry out to him and I could scream and shout and say like, what's going on, Lord? And I could, it's just important to do that and to co-create with God. So this is a lot of information, and you will learn new things on your journey, that hopefully you can relay to others when they ask you how you built your self-esteem and how you built your self-confidence and how you stopped your negative beliefs. But really, those are the keys that I have that really helped me. And as I was going through that journey, along the way, I began playing more and tapping into the things that made me feel like a child again, and that made me smile and laugh and be giddy. That helps you reconnect with yourself and fall back in love with the you that, is playful and is creative and is, flamboyant and crazy and likes the littlest things, and loves the little things in life. And that really helped me on my self-esteem journey. And so many other things, community, and it sometimes it's just one friend speaking over you, and you sharing your story is so important. And that's another thing I would say in all of this. There is a root to this. You didn't just wake up one day and hate yourself, life gets in our spirit, life, people around us, people we trust who weren't careful with that trust, people we love who weren't careful with the love, rejection, isolation. There are things that happen to us in life that create these narratives and create these wounds that then carry with us throughout our lives and bring us to rock bottom. So I think a key part, and it goes back to the journaling, but also looking at your story, looking at why, you have these thoughts, why these things plague you, and exploring that. And sometimes you have to explore that with a therapist. Sometimes you have to explore it with a life coach. Sometimes it's a matter of like I said, telling your story to a friend and hearing, how they have a similar story, and just getting it out and examining, what brought you to this point? Why is this narrative the way it is a really important part of this journey, because sometimes we don't go back and, we don't reflect on why we're here, and we haven't gotten the, someone to say like, you're right, that was painful, that did hurt, that would have hurt anyone. What happened to you hurt. What happened to you was awful, and I'm sorry. I don't think enough people take the time and are good enough listeners and are good enough space holders for other people, that we just carry these wounds with us. Even though we're trying to heal, we just can't, because no one's validating our story. And sometimes that is what we need. Like sometimes we need someone to see us and hear us and say, I'm sorry that you went through that. And it may not be the person that caused the harm, but sometimes just hearing that validates our story. It helps us to stop gaslighting ourselves into thinking that, we just blew everything out of proportion and maybe this wasn't as bad as it was, or maybe this didn't actually happen. Like, it's so important to find that, whether it's like I said, a therapist or a friend who you trust, or, sometimes this is that moment for you. Like sometimes it can be a podcast where someone's not talking directly to you, but they're speaking to your situation, and they know what it's like to feel invalidated and to feel dismissed, and how that doesn't heal anything. And so sometimes, the reason I started this podcast is because I didn't feel like I had a lot of that in my life. I felt like I was handling things on my own a lot. Anytime I tried to bring it up to people, it would be dismissed, or, you're blowing it out of proportion. And I felt crazy, and I could never get that feeling of like, no, this hurt me. Can someone just understand that this hurt me? Can someone just understand that I'm drowning here? Can someone just understand what I'm going through and not try to tell me why I shouldn't be going through it, or why I shouldn't feel the way I feel, or that I need to suck it up, or I need to move on and just, heal. And so I think that's a really, really core part of it. And I do think that is, you do sometimes have to go in your past and get some healing there first, and understand what happened to you, and start, whether you haven't, cry about it, shout about it, be painful, or be mad at God about it, ask him why these things happened. I think for me, and I'll end on this, a big moment of just like relief in my life was Dr. Ramani. I don't know if any of you've heard of her, but she does a lot on narcissists and characteristics on narcissists. Like her whole platform is about narcissism. And I had experienced a lot of narcissists in my life and at the time. And I just couldn't put a finger on what this thing that I was experiencing, these type of people I was experiencing, why I was in these certain situations, the pain that those situations cause, the pain that type of person can cause. And so listening to her explain verbatim what I was going through and how I would feel about it, and, what to look out for, and that it wasn't my fault, and all of these things helped me have an aha moment of like, oh my God, that is what I've been going through. She put a word to the thing that has been plaguing, these people in my life, and these core people. And this explains why I grew up like this, and this, and this, and this. Sometimes having that moment of like aha and feeling seen and heard is a great catalyst and a great sort of springboard after you have hit rock bottom, to start healing and to really understand that you're not crazy. You felt that way because something was happening, something did happen. And it's kind of just like a breath. You can take a deep breath and start the process of letting it go, so that you can make more room for these positive things to take root in your spirit, take root in your soil, your good soil, and actually blossom and grow into a new life, into new thoughts, into new patterns and behaviors. So I don't want to bypass how important it is that you do, get some sort of closure. It may not be the closure you're thinking you need or want from those people, but sometimes it is seeking out a trusted source or someone on the internet. We have access to so many things. Sometimes it is putting a name to what you went through, and putting feelings to what you went through, and finding a community that also went through it, that can also really create space in your garden for new seeds to take root and grow. So those are that's my advice, my long-winded advice. I told you I could talk about this for hours, and I'm sure I got more in me, trust me. But thank you for asking this question. It's a great question. Again, as usual, I hope that you took something from this, that you can start your healing journey, continue your healing journey, and start loving yourself, because we definitely need more people who love themselves in this world, and who, are doing this work, who are really doing this work, who aren't just talking about doing this work, but who are really doing this work and putting the time and energy into becoming you. The reward at the end of this is becoming you, and getting closer to you, and for you feeling like, you are worthy of being here. And like I said, we need more people like that, who are out here feeling worthy. And then that overflows and spills over to helping other people feel worthy and feel like they love themselves, and feel like, they don't have to go out and spill more hate and anger and, vitriol into the world, even though, we all fall short. So thank you for doing this work. Thank you for asking this question. And I really, really pray and am excited for you to begin this journey, because it is so worth it. You are so worth it. You are good soil. Thank you for watching another episode of Good Soil. If you liked this video, be sure to share it with friends and family, because we could all use a little reminding that we are good soil. And if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel and follow us on Instagram and TikTok. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye.